Welcome to Journal with Me, real time tarot journaling session. So, if you want to journal, be sure to grab your journal if you haven't already and grab something to write with, and we are going to get started. And of course, if you tarot and oracle cards are optional. If you don't have them or don't use them, that's perfectly fine. I have some decks with me, and I'll also share a card for the collective to support you in your journaling journey today. We're going to journal for 20 minutes. This live stream will not be more than 30 minutes. I'll save some time at the end to go over any questions and to share our experience through the session. So I want to first just start off with why journaling is important. What is the purpose of that? When it comes to journaling, why we're even doing it in the morning, it's like, let's do this now. Let's create time for ourselves. Let's do this before we start our day, before we give ourselves to the world. Like, let's do this and create time for ourselves. So that is the intention. I want you to just tune in. It's an opportunity for you to tune into your feelings, to tune into messages, intuitive messages, whether it's whatever's going on in your life right now. This is an opportunity to create space for that. So I want you to grab your journal. I have mine. I'm using my tarot journal, Trust Your Intuition Daily Tarot. And you can use a regular notebook, but since I will be using tarot, I'm using my tarot journal. And if you're interested in this particular journal, you can find the link in the description for this. Okay, so let's start out. I have greetings, Cheyenne, welcome. So I want to first start off with pulling a card for the collective. Um, and then I'm going to share a journal prompt as well. So if if you're going to be using your tarot oracle decks, be sure to grab those and let's start shuffling right now. I'm going to start off with an oracle card for the collective. I'm going to start off with that. And while I am shuffling, and hopefully you're shuffling too, if you're using a deck. If you're not, that's fine. I want you to just focus on breathing. Take a few deep breaths in and tune into your body, tune into your emotions. How are you feeling right now? And I want you to ask yourself this question here. What would it take for me to be fully present in this moment? What would it take? Ask yourself that question. What would it take for me to be fully present in this moment? What would that take? Because oftentimes we are in a state of stress, we're overthinking things, and we don't allow ourselves to be in a state of peace or be present for an extended amount of time. So if you're in that space, this question is a great way to return back to the present moment. And so I'm going to pull a card. All right. So the card for the collective is Storm, resolve conflicts. So that's what we're going to be focusing on, resolving conflicts. So conflicts can be something that's completely internal. Are there any internal conflicts that you're experiencing right now? Is it a decision that you have a conflict about that maybe you're wanting to resolve, or that maybe you've been avoiding resolving, trying to find a resolution for this? Do you have a conflict with someone? Is it a family member? Is it a partner? Is it something at work? What could this particular conflict be? And we're going to focus on creating space to tune into potential conflicts. And sometimes conflicts don't necessarily mean that, there's an argument or a fight going on, especially when it comes to internal conflicts. This can show up as resistance or avoidance. So, is there anything in particular that you might be avoiding or resisting right now when it comes to the next step that you want to take, something that you've been wanting to do? What what is that? What could that be? And maybe you're not even at a point where you have allowed yourself to step outside of your comfort zone. Like maybe you feel stuck and you're wanting to do something. Maybe you don't necessarily hate what's going on in your life, but you want to change something in your life. There's something you're wanting to improve. There's something you want to feel like you're really living in some way, right? So maybe it's like, well, what will it take for me to find more joy? What will it take for me to um, make more money? What will it take for me to um, prioritize my health? What will it take for me to feel, to be more consistent in my journaling practice? Whatever these things can be, right? This is an opportunity to tune in. So go ahead and if you have pulled a card from your own deck, be sure to share that. You can share it now if you want in the comments, or you can share it afterwards. So I'm going to get a timer started. I'm going to get a timer. So I pulled the card for the collective, which is Storm, Resolving Conflicts. And you know what? Something's telling me to also read what it says in this book. So let me just do that really quickly. I feel like somebody needs a message from the book. And it says shifts in atmospheric conditions create storm conditions. Thunderstorms form when warm air rises quickly into the colder levels of the atmosphere. Normally, the result is rain, wind, lightning, and thunder. Unresolved conflicts and tensions are coming to the surface. You cannot ignore them any longer, or they will worsen. Now is the time to resolve. Now is the time to resolve them, at least your part in them. I feel like that part is important to resolve. Resolving your part in the conflict, because especially if there's other people involved. Do not rise to the petty challenges and intimidations of others. Do not allow yourself to be pulled into old arguments and the same old patterns or conflicts. So if you are experiencing a loop where you're in a pattern and it's the same thing over and over again, this is an opportunity to use this time that we're journaling to uh, find a solution, a way that you can just let go of it and no longer participate in that conflict. All right, so I'm going to get this timer started and we're going to start our journaling. And of course, if you have any questions in the meantime, definitely let me know. And now I'm going to go ahead and pull a card for myself. I have my tarot deck and I'm going to start my journaling and looking forward to us doing this together and holding each other accountable. Our 20 minutes is up. Let me know what your takeaways were, what cards that you pull. For those of you that came in a little bit after the fact, this was the collective card, which was storm and resolving conflicts. And I shared some insights around that. And I also read the message there, so you can catch the replay for that. And I see, Ray, you pulled a Four of Cups. That's awesome. The tarot card that I pulled for myself was the Three of Wands. So one of the things that I did was I looked at what the collective message was and then how these two kind of work together. What is the message between the two? So let me know what your takeaways were. I'll stay on for a few minutes to just so we can share. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask those now. And whether you're watching live or watching the replay, let me know, was this helpful? Did you enjoy doing this? And yeah, let me know, because maybe I'll do this again. So one of the takeaways that came up, a couple things that I want to share. The first thing, let me remove this banner. The first thing is that came up between the collective card and then the card I pulled for myself is I get to choose to be proactive in my purpose despite any potential conflicts. I will seek out the opportunity, the lesson, and the next step. So that's one of the things that I wrote in my journal. And then another thing that came up is what was your card? My card that I pulled was the Three of Wands, and this was the collective card, storm, resolve conflicts. And then this was my card. So if you are pulling your own cards, you can look at how the collective card plays a role in your card. Another thing that came up is, especially when it comes to the resolve conflicts, is sometimes the storm is within you. Sometimes you create the storm in order to tear down the old you and reconstruct yourself. Sometimes the storm is a necessary blessing of rebirth. So, I also read the message that was in the book of this card in the beginning there. And one of the things is like, just think about when certain acts of nature happen and what comes of that after the fact. It can feel painful and traumatizing and disastrous, but sometimes, and that's why I put a necessary blessing of rebirth. Sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes we put ourselves in situations where the only option is a complete reconstruction, a complete tearing down. And so it's the act of that can feel like a conflict. So those are some things that came up for me. Does anyone have anything they want to share about what they pulled? If you pulled a card, or what you got from the collective card, or a takeaway from your journaling, let me know. And yeah, this was really good. This was really good. So I did this is from my deck here. I pulled kind of some notes, my takeaways, and some symbols, like the number 3 really stuck out. And then we have the element of fire as well. So I also like to look at the elements. And then it's like, how does fire play a role in the storm, right? What storm, what are some storms that include this particular fire element, and then how does that interact? So those are ways that I kind of like to look at it as well. And in my summer, if any of you tuned into my summer, the summer solstice reading, air came up quite a bit for like the overall like collective energy reading for this season. And so it's like, ooh, air and fire, air and fire. What does that look like? I enjoy this thoroughly. The fact that my options are right in front of me, my answer is right in front of me. All I have to do is choose to end a cycle. There was a lot that came up. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Ray. I pull the Knight of Swords. Ooh, that I love a good Knight of Swords energy. And then Ray got the Four of Cups. I ended up making an agreement between higher self and inner child, signed and all. I love that. That is beautiful. Yeah, and sometimes, like one of the things that came up was like I get to choose. I get to choose. I get to choose. I get to choose. And we do, right? Just like we chose to be here today, and I thank you for like um being here, right? That Knight of Swords energy. I thank you all for being here. And then it's the 22nd of July. So we have a master number day, 22 in 2022. So if that energy and that vibration resonates with you, then be curious about that, lean into that. What does that energy present to you today? And yeah, continue to. I feel like one more thing to share is just stay present in what came up for you. Stay present in that. Carry that with you, and share that. Like vibrate in that energy of like what came up for you in your journaling session and in the message, because someone else might need that, right? So as the opportunity presents itself, how can you share that with others? And sometimes sharing it is just by exuding in it and being in that message that you got for yourself. It's a great way to connect with others through just holding that space for yourself, so others can experience that. We don't always have to tell everything, right? Sometimes it's just being. We forget to just be sometimes. Balance and harmony to all. Yes, I love that. I love that. Well, thank you all so much. I don't want to keep you on here any longer. I appreciate you showing up for yourselves and showing up with me and doing this with me. I really enjoyed this. Um, yeah, I had a whole other plan to do, for this live stream, but then something was like, do this. I'm like, I could do this every week. So I might do this every week. We'll see. But I feel really good about this, and I hope you all do too. And if there's any other messages or things you want to share, you can definitely leave those in the comments. Even if you're watching the replay, you can do that in the comments. You can do this anytime. Yeah, and if you haven't subscribed, feel free to do that. Like this video if you liked it, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.